Well, it's week 30 and it's the 3rd of July. And it's really, really scary to think that we, a full way through half the year. But for me, I wanted to give you some of the lessons that I learned. The first one is, I came up with a new concept when I was up at Shumba's, that what I've got is of so much value and what Hannes and I are trying to teach. So I've got to get in front of people. I've got to change their needs into wants. I've got to show them how we can add huge value. And so I decided that I would, go in and do presentations, and I offered it on a risk basis. But the problem is, if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. I arrived at 20 to 8 for an 8 a.m. start. The first person only arrived at 8:30. There were then people coming in and leaving and answering telephones. And I realized right there and then that unless someone puts money in your pocket, they're not going to take it seriously. Even though it was on an honor-based agreement where they're due to owe me the money with me adding the value, the problem is unless they're paid, they don't pay attention. So remember that for yourself, because at the end of the day, you want to give away stuff for free to educate and build value. But if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. The second thing was the value of relationships. While I was in Durban, I went to see one of our clients who's invested in us in Australia. We've had a very good relationship with him. He's had a tricky ride getting his mortgage and everything. We've helped him through the process. And by doing that, he now wants me to go up to Zim and meet up with 20 or 30 of his mates to help them invest. And that's the value of a relationship. I went, it took me 2 or 3 hours to go and find him, to sit down with him, to have a chit chat about the Durban July and what was happening, etc., about his brother who's moved to Australia and himself and his business. I actually gave him quite a lot of advice with his own business in terms of the online component and how that could be better than retailing, etc. But by building that relationship, I built trust. I invest time in that client, and now he wants me to go and help his friends and family who are up in Zim, which could be fantastically powerful and beneficial to me. The third thing was giving back. I spent Tuesday afternoon with Tree, the charity that trains teachers in early childhood education. I'm very excited to say we raised over 10,000 Rand in the Comrades Marathon Challenge that I did. But I sat with them for 3 hours and we went through their marketing. We came up with a core story, because the one thing I always know about charities, certainly from my experience with a lot of them, is that they're very good at what they do, but they're not very good at telling the world about it. And so I sat with them and we went through their marketing strategy, their core story, and how they could go out and tell the world about what they do and basically improve their reach and improve people's knowledge of what they do. So it was very empowering, and it was awesome to see the lights coming on and how much value it could add to them. Because this marketing works whether you're an NGO, whether you're a multinational, or whether you're an army of one. No matter what it is, it works, it gets you the results, and it was a real pleasure to be able to share it with them. The third thing was the Rawson event. It was actually held by the Institute of Estate Agents. It was sponsored by Rawson and Performer, and Hannes and I got invited. I got Hannes and I invited down to the event, and we presented to 300 estate agents in Durban. It was the biggest turnout that the Institute of Estate Agents has ever had countrywide, which was quite a serious accolade. I think one of the reasons is because, again, it was education-based marketing. They weren't having it shoved down their throat in terms of how to get more mortgages or how to be faster as a conveyancer, get a faster conveyancing process. I talk about 4 ways to double sales, and Hannes spoke about how to close deals in uncertain times. We had a full house, 320 people at the Durban Country Club. The energy was awesome. The feedback was incredible. And at the end of the day, Hannes went before me and he was outstanding. He was on top form. And so many people came up to me and said, "Geez, good luck. I would hate to have to follow after Hannes." But my attitude in life, if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not competing with the best, then you are not going to become the best. I've presented many, many times in my life where I was the best, but I wasn't dealing with the best people, internationally renowned speakers. So I love the challenge. I love competing with Hannes, adding value with Hannes. And by doing that, between the two of us, 1 + 1 = 3, because the feedback forms we got from the event were phenomenal. I know that people walked away and learned so much. It blew them away, and I look forward to adding more value and certainly doing more presentations like that with Hannes around the country. The core story, on Thursday we embarked with 2 new companies implementing the core story. One of them was very new in the phases, and the other one was coming to completion. And it was so nice sitting with companies, seeing the lights coming on, seeing the value of the core story and how it can literally change their marketing, change their results. It really was so empowering in terms of what was happening. Then on Thursday evening, I spent 6 hours on Thursday evening, another 4 hours on Friday. It was my half-yearly review where I go through all my goals I look at my 49-day goals, I review my progress, I review my plan for the next 49-day goals. I come up with my new 15 goals that I write on a daily basis. I was a little bit annoyed with myself because I've lost a little bit of the momentum from the first 3 months of this year, but it was very empowering to go back and see what has actually been achieved in the last 3 months based on what my goals were in the first 3 months. I sat down, I got my goals for the next 6 months, and that gave me such a good game plan as to where I'm going and what I want to achieve in the next 6 months. And that's not just from a financial or business point of view, that's a vocational, that's a health, that's a family, it's spending time with Kelly. And most importantly, goal number 14 is actually to take advantage of this, to live life every day as if we're going back to Johannesburg, because this is such an incredible experience, but you need to take advantage of that. And actually, funny enough, this weekend, just on the basis of goal number 14, Kelly and I took the dogs walking in Newlands Forest on Saturday, and then had breakfast with my mother at Rhodesnem, and then on Sunday we went out to Noordhoek. We went walking with the dogs on Noordhoek, we had lunch with a friend in Noordhoek, and then we went for another walk on Kommetjie Beach. So I do believe we're really getting and using the best of what Cape Town has to offer. And then the last thing was the websites. Again, from doing my goals, I realized that I'm holding myself back. I don't know what the reason is, but I've got a lot of aspirations, I've got a lot of opportunities, but the one thing, the Achilles heel for me, was getting the IT done. And so I spent all weekend, I've got a number of websites that I'm building at the moment, and I did all the content for them. Today I've spent a lot of the time doing the videos and everything else, because I want to be able to unlock that Achilles heel. I want to unlock the keys to my freedom so that I really and truly can live this passive lifestyle where passive income, I can live with this beautiful, magnificent view behind me and really enjoy it. And I do believe in the new age, the new technological age, it is happening. I want to leave you with one thought. As we go from literally the agricultural age to the industrial age, we then went from the industrial age to the technology age, and now we're going from the technology age to the sharing age. Every time that you move through the ages, there's a paradigm shift. And when there's a paradigm shift, there's a massive transfer of wealth. Think about how the wealth transferred from the agriculturalists, the kings and queens, to the industrialists, the Rockefellers of this world. Then think how it changed from the Rockefellers and the industrialists to the technological, to the Bill Gates, to the Steve Jobs. And now it's changing again from them to the sharing age, to the Facebooks, to the Mark Zuckerbergs, to the YouTubes, where people can share, they can interact, they can have relationships. As the world becomes more high touch or more high tech, it needs to become more high touch. Your relationships become your most valuable asset. And at the end of the day, in this paradigm shift where there's the greatest transfer of wealth, it's going to move from those who don't know to those who know. So what are you doing to get in the know? What are you doing so that you can be at the forefront of that paradigm shift? What are you doing to be part of the greatest wealth transfer the world has ever seen? Till another week with a magnificent sunset and the sound of the waves, I'm signing off for this week. Cheers.